Yeah, so this is a game that's coming out, like, I think next year. It's made by this, like, relatively small indie studio. I don't know if you've heard of them.
What?
Yeah.
This feels like a Souls-like Pokemon with a big budget.
Yeah, Gen 10 be going crazy.
Yeah, it's weird seeing a Game Freak game like this, because if it said, like, From Software or, like, Square Enix, I'd be like, oh, yeah, cool. But then when I see Game Freak, I'm just like...
Yeah. But you know, funnily enough, it's not actually Game Freak's first time making, like, this 3D Souls-like game. They made a game in 2010 for the Wii called PokePark Pikachu's Adventure.
Oh, yeah, I think I remember that game. Souls-like?
I promise you, it's a really solid game. I remember it fondly. I haven't played it in 15 years, but I remember it fondly. I'll loan you my copy.
Well, then it's time to dig out the old Wiimote and Nunchuck.
Oh, the game doesn't use the Nunchuck. You actually hold the Wiimote sideways and control a 3D game with the D-pad.
Wait, what? With the release of Pokemon Legends ZA happening this year, some of you believe it's the first time the series is introducing real-time Pokemon battle. But actually, we got real-time Pokemon battles a little over 15 years ago, in the form of PokePark Wii Pikachu's Adventure. I knew this game existed when I was a kid, but unfortunately, I never got my hands on it because my 11-year-old self couldn't convince my mother to buy the game for my brother and I. That and other frustrating circumstances. Fast forward to about 3 months ago, and my friend and fellow content creator Insignios let me borrow his Wii U so I could play PokePark 1 for the first time in my life. That, and also I can make a whole 30-minute video talking about the game. So without further ado, let's begin. The opening cutscene begins with Mew committing a federal offense by teleporting Pikachu, Chikorita, Piplup, and Charmander to PokePark, as well as Pikachu getting a dream about the game's MacGuffin, the Sky Prism, being shattered into 14 pieces and scattered across the park. Yep, PokePark is an isekai. And you know what that means? It's time to build a harem. Oh, hello there, Chattit. You were the first member of Pikachu's harem. I said Pikachu's and not mine because I'm not Pikachu. So after adding Best Boy Snorlax and Bunnery to the harem, I find Chikorita and play Bulbasaur's Daring Dash. Yep, all the attractions are minigames. And it's my favorite one. I'll explain that later. But after winning, Bulbasaur hands off a small crystal to me, and it's then that I realize it's all one big fetch quest. How did it break? I don't know. Though this is a mission from Pokemon Jesus, and I can't turn down a mission from him. So after that, Chikorita gets abducted by the head of the Meadow Zone, Venusaur. So I have to play some skill games and an attraction around the zone. Since we're here, I suppose talking about the mechanics of PokePark Wii Pikachu's Adventure is in order. I'm saying this right now, one of my major complaints of PokePark Wii Pikachu's Adventure is that the controls are dog water. The reason being is I'm controlling Pikachu with a Wii Remote, not a Wii Remote and a Nunchuck, just the remote. You might notice throughout the video that I'm walking in circles sometimes, and that's not to be funny. I was doing my best to control Pikachu's movements, but whether it was me or the Wii Remote, I just had to accept that Pikachu was doing donuts wherever he felt like it. I don't get why Creatures Inc. didn't integrate the Nunchuck into the gameplay. Oh well. Skill games in PokePark are varied. You have chase, battle, obstacle hop, quizzes, and hide and seek. They're all self-explanatory, as you could guess by each of their names, but the battles in PokePark Wii Pikachu's Adventure are a little different than regular Pokemon battles. When I say that, it means that aside from ground, electric, and certain other Pokemon, the type chart holds no water here, meaning there are no damage modifiers for or against Pikachu, and that means I am now just hitting my opponent until they crumple like a wet napkin. That, or if I found a clip in my footage, dropping them into the water like a sack of bricks. Either or, the moment their health reaches 0, I make a new friend. Welcome to Pikachu's harem. Your card is in the mail and will arrive in 3 to 4 business days. Some attractions are the more annoying part of the game because while I'm using only the Wii Remote and no Nunchuck, I also had to keep in mind that all the Pokemon I've befriended can participate. That means while some Pokemon make the attractions that much easier, certain Pokemon or Pikachu himself tend to make the minigames that much tougher to beat. And that gets frustrating, because if I just want to play as Pikachu the whole way through like a masochist, or want to use another Pokemon for whatever reason, it's at that point the game punishes me by making some attractions way harder to beat when I don't use the suggested Pokemon. And I'll give you a ranking later in the video, because I don't want to talk your ear off before I pass the first fifth of the game. Where was I? Ooh, right. After doing some challenges, yes, you should be disappointed in yourself, Spearow. That challenge was pathetic. It's then going back to Venusaur to beat his attraction, getting Chikorita, and netting a Venusaur as a member of Pikachu's harem, and another Sky Prism Shard. It's then off to the nexus of PokePark, the meeting place, to learn all about the neat stuff around town. Powering up Pikachu from Primate. Please don't tell me you learned Iron Tail the way I think you did. Oh, never mind. Whew. Being given a camera from the goth chick Miss Drevis, and making a beeline to the beach zone. I have to beat Gyarados' attraction, but before that, I have to complete Pelipper's. And again, why didn't they include a Nunchuck for better stability in the attraction? Then, if it wasn't done already, befriending the Bidoof family and the Gilf Bibarel in the Meadow Zone, so they can... In the name of Arceus, that's the fastest bridge I have ever seen built. After that, taking on Gyarados' attraction and making him see that he shouldn't be an egotistical oaf. And with that, I'm 10 shards down, and off to meet the ruler of the Beach and Iceberg Zone, Empoleon. By now, it's the same routine as the last two zones. Beat the skill games, grow the harem, make sure Pikachu's in top form, and help the local residents. So after some igloo building, beating up a government worker running the trams, and helping Glalie friend Frostlass by beating them in a battle, I get Frostlass freezing the lake back up so Mamoswine can thrash down the doors, and I can finally beat Empoleon's attraction. The twist, however, is Empoleon doesn't want anyone to play his attraction. The double twist is Piplup drops in, and through Talk no Jutsu, convinces Empoleon to start the attraction back up. So, with another attraction completed, another shard down, and another harem member later, it's off to the mines. Arriving in the cavern zone, I'm supposed to take the mine carts to Blaziken, but unfortunately Mr. Mime can't do that because someone bit off the railing that leads to the lava zone. Joy! More fetch questing! So after a simple chain of bribing Aeron to join the harem, asking Mawile where they hid the rail, bugging Doug Trio for the next location, pummeling Marowak into submission so I can find it, completing another attraction, I like this one, even if I can't use a Nunchuck here, finding out Diglett hid the damn rail under a Snorlax, and feeding him a berry so I can get the railing back. So I got the railing back, and I restored a famous PokePark location. Now all that's left to do is head on out to the lava zone, and darn it, Gibble, the minecart is not a toy. Alright. So after doing a chase to get the minecart back, it's off to the lava zone. Arriving in style in the lava zone, Pikachu finds out that Hitmontop was drilling for booty, but the drill became overheated for plot reasons and is inoperable for the time being. Hey. So, it's going down the slope to the furnace, battling Camerupt so I can use the furnace, going back up the slopes for iron ore so I can go drill gambling.
Let's go gambling! Aw, dang it.
On a side note, this is good money for upgrades and the like, considering Golem here pays really well for non-quest items. After going back up and down however many times to fashion an iron lever and rectify an OSHA violation, Pikachu then builds a top to participate in one of the coolest minigames in PokePark, off-brand Beyblade battles. And the best part is I don't need a Nunchuck for this minigame. So after spinning like mad and punting his opponents out of the ring like a Beyblade master, Pikachu finds his buddy Charmander and fights Pikachu for good fun. After that quick match, it's then off to meditate, move out of the way. I'm halfway done repairing the Sky Prism. I don't have time for a quiz. Ah! Now Farfetch'd wants a battle. Great. Ugh. After all of that, I'm at Blaziken's lair. Luckily, I don't have to fight or face a quiz from Markargo. Sweet. Doing the attractions preemptively went in my favor. Alright, so another quick battle with Charmander then leads Pikachu into doing Blaziken's attraction. It was an alright minigame, about number 4 on the list from worst to best. 1 being best, but that's all I'm saying for now. Thankfully, after all that, Pikachu now has over half of the Sky Prism Shards collected, and Blaziken tells Pikachu that he'll start working together with Venusaur and Empoleon again, and it's back to the meeting place for Pikachu and Charmander. Upon returning to the meeting place with Charmander in tow, Chikorita and Piplup are working on a hot air balloon, and can't seem to get it to work. Unfortunately, mechanical and aerial engineering are not my strong suit, so I'm moving on to the Haunted Zone, because Miss Drevis heard I needed to get to the Sky Pavilion, and supposedly Miss Magus knows where it is. After I reach the top of the steps to the mansion in the Haunted Zone, Drifloon makes sure Pikachu went through Tangrowth's swing-along attraction to make sure he's a spooky boy. Stopping inside the mansion, Pikachu is greeted by Duskull, who gives him a tour of the place. Then, after talking to a Super Mario 64 reference, Dusknoir's Speed Slam is reopened for business. Again, no Nunchuck is needed, it's Bulbasaur's Daring Dash. Now it's 70% of the main quest done, and the door to the ballroom open. I have to find a Spinnerack and befriend them for thread to repair piano keys for Miss Magus to come out. Wonderful! More fetch quests! Next up on the agenda, Duskull needs Pikachu to find zone leader Rotom, so Pikachu out-nerds this nerd for his book, and upon placing the book back in its cubby, the bookcase moves. Classic creepy haunted house stuff. Lo and behold, Rotom was downstairs. He was working on an attraction for everyone as a surprise before being locked in. And to play the attraction, Pikachu needs, 85 friends. Well, time to induct more Pokemon into the harem. Okay, after spending 10 minutes gathering friends, another hour on top trying to beat Rotom's spooky shoot-em-up because I had no Nunchuck control stick and had to change out Pikachu midway through, I finally got the 11th Sky Prism Shard, and Miss Mage just found out where Pikachu needs to head next, the Granite Zone! Heading back to the meeting place, Pikachu's friends figured out how to patch up the hot air balloon, and it's ready to fly up to the Sky Pavilion once he knows where it is. Sweet. So once I step foot into the Granite Zone, Charizard informs Pikachu that only a chosen few can hope to best the ruins and reach the Sky Pavilion. Ha! Joke's on you, ya overgrown lizard. Pikachu's the main protagonist. He has plot armor. Heading towards the peak, Hoppip wants Pikachu to best Absol's Hurdle Bounce, which a Nunchuck is unnecessary here because it's just running and jumping. After snagging another Prism Shard and another harem member, Pikachu comes face to face with Flygon and has to find 3 secret words. Of course. So first up is Porygon Z, and to get to him, I have to take Pikachu and throw hands with Blastoise. Then Scorpy here tells me that a switch will open some doors, because of course he's behind one of them. After getting that word, it takes me and Pikachu to Bronzor, who lets him pass due to having part of the password. And then it's fighting Electrive because he wants to see who deserves the title of Lightning Strike. After beating him and making him join the harem, obviously, the way leads out to where the next word is. Togekiss gives Pikachu a quiz, and then tells me that I have to backtrack to the Cavern Zone because Snorlax, surprisingly, has the 3rd word. A quick detour and 2 harem auditions later, and now Flygon lets Pikachu go onward. But not before Jumpluff tells him that he has to beat Salamance's Air Ace to pass to the Flower Zone. After controlling a copy of Pelipper's attraction that feels like your drunk uncle got behind a sports car because I don't have a Nunchuck, Pikachu gets the second to last prism piece and makes his way up to the Flower Zone. Finally, reaching the peak where the Flower Zone resides, Bellossom informs Pikachu that Shaman knows the way to the Sky Pavilion, but can't do so because the recent earthquakes caused, that I neglected to mention throughout the story, the mirror that lit the way to go to the pavilion to go missing. And worse, Rayquaza, the Flower Zone leader, is nowhere to be found. After a quick search around, Pikachu learns the mirror landed in the meeting place treehouse, so it's now a quick ride over to scoop it up and come back to place it on the dice. Dice, I think. With the light shining brilliantly, Rayquaza appears and asks Pikachu to participate in his attraction. I don't like this one because it definitely should have used the Nunchuck. So with all 14 Sky Prism Shards in hand, Pikachu asks for Shaman's help, and he wants Pikachu to water him so he can change into his Sky form. Upon being rehydrated, Shaman realizes Pikachu can't fly. Well, not with that attitude, though. But the two are stumped on how to proceed, until Chikorita, Piplup, and Charmander arrive in the hot air balloon, immediately solving that problem. And Shaman leads the way for Pikachu and co. to the Sky Pavilion. At last. Pikachu's mission from Pokemon Jesus is finally coming to an end. With Shaman heading back to the Flower Zone, it's up to Pikachu and his friends to find Mew and restore the Prism. However, after searching every inch of the pavilion, Piplup tells you that Mew is nowhere to be found. So Pikachu heads back to the balloon and finds out that the real Piplup was at the balloon the whole time, meaning the other Piplup was an imposter. And with Pikachu seeing through Mew's disguise, challenges Pikachu to 3 skill games. The first one is a platforming section that would have worked best with the Nunchuck because it took me 20 tries to traverse this skill game. The second one involves a gauntlet run battle between Pikachu and Mew, who transforms into Magmortar, Garchomp, and finally Tyranitar before admitting defeat. And the last skill game is a high-speed game of chase between Pikachu and Mew. After beating all 3, Mew congratulates Pikachu for a job well done and joining the harem, with Mew then taking all 14 Prism Shards and recreating the Sky Prism. In doing so, restoring peace and happiness to PokePark. And with that, a fireworks show is held in honor of Pikachu's success. And now the realization dawns on me that the 4 of them are living there now. This is their new home. At least Pikachu has friends, a harem, no shortage of food and water, and a pretty swanky treehouse. All things considered, that's a win. Since I have a few minutes left in the video, I'll talk about the attractions in order of worst to best, and a few thoughts I had while playing. The attraction in 14th place is Pelipper's Circle Circuit. This minigame is the most frustrating of all because I had to tilt the Wii Remote around in a horizontal position while scoring points from colored rings, and with no nunchuck, I was fighting with the controller to not have the Pokemon I was using to fly opposite of my input. Number 13 is Salamance's Air Ace. It's the same as Pelipper's Circle Circuit, just this time with a higher score requirement to get the Sky Prism Shard, and of all the minigames to get a mirror, it had to be this one. Number 12 is Rotom's Spooky Shoot 'em Up. I despise this one, not because I had to point and aim the Wii Remote around to lock on to enemies, but because the pointer also doubles as your movement. The problem I had here is since you can't use a nunchuck to turn the Pokemon I'm using with the control stick, any aiming movements I use towards my targets will swivel the fixed camera around, and I could end up losing because I was trying to aim at a Gengar, and the controller input just decides to spin me around 180 degrees. Number 11 is Rayquaza's Balloon Panic. I don't hate it, but I also don't love it. I had to use one of the recommended Pokemon, that being Lucario, because every time I played as Pikachu, the minigame was kicking my ass. It goes from a running segment to collect rings, and then a shooting segment, with both pulling together the total high score. It's not the worst, but it either should have stuck to one minigame archetype, or it should have used a nunchuck. Venusaur's Vine Swing takes 10th place. It's not bad, it's just, I felt like there was a time delay when I swung, so for 15 minutes off camera, I was just practicing because I kept getting under the required high score to win the attraction. Tangrowth's Swing Along is in 9th, and while it's the same type of game as Venusaur's Vine Swing, it uses the swinging to create a fun challenge. But I feel it would have been higher on the list if it used in the nunchuck and it was longer. That way, I don't know, it was like I was actually swinging from vine to vine in an engaging race, In number 8 is Gyarados' Aqua Dash. The minigame is good, it's better than the other 6 minigames I mentioned. It was just frustrating to control half the time because I had to make wide turns on a curve just so I wouldn't smack into the barrier, and this game would have also benefited from a Nunchuck control scheme. Going over the halfway point at 7th place is Empoleon's Snow Slide. It was genuinely fun. The Wii Remote scheme works here because it wasn't a demanding and complicated race. I had to play on simple controls. I slid down a hill, avoided bad stuff, ran into good stuff, and the better I did, the faster I went. Simple as that. Absol's Hurdle Bounce comes in at number 6 because I only had 2 commands to do. Run and jump. I run fast and time my jumps. I'm not praying that the Wii Remote cooperates with me for 10 minutes. I'm shaking a remote, pressing buttons at the correct time, and crossing the finish line faster than everyone else. In 5th is Dusknoir's Speed Slam. While it's the same attraction, it has one key advantage that Absol's Hurdle Bounce does not. When I play as a Ghost-type Pokemon, I pass through the obstacles, making it 1,000 times easier to beat the attraction. Play smarter, not harder. Coming in 4th is Blaziken's Boulder Bash. Once I got the timing for hitting the boulders for the most points down, it was just keeping the pace I had going and racking up points to win the attraction. It was the right blend of challenging and fun. Sitting in 3rd is Rhyperior's Bumper Burn. This minigame was absolutely fun to jump into. No need for a nunchuck, no complex mechanics, and no need to pick the best Pokemon for an attraction. I readied up, spun around like a Beyblade of Death, and kept my eyes on the obstacles so I'd win. 2nd place goes to Bastodon's Block Barrage. This minigame was another timing one, only instead of thrashing boulders, I was punching apart stone slabs Bastodon set up with a giant metal ball. It's like Brick Breaker, except I had a Power Shot, a Dream, and Dugtrio being a pain in my behind. But that brings me to number 1, Bulbasaur's Daring Dash. What can I say? I shake the Wii Remote up and down as fast as I can, hope my arms don't get tired before the finish line, and I win. I know it isn't the most complex or challenging attraction of the bunch, but considering I don't have a nunchuck, this is the best game here. And that's my ranking from worst to best. Pelipper's Circle Circuit, Salamance's Air Ace, Rotom's Spooky Shoot 'em Up, Rayquaza's Balloon Panic, Venusaur's Vine Swing, Tangroth's Swing Along, Gyarados' Aqua Dash, Empoleon's Snow Slide, Absol's Hurdle Bounce, Dusknoir's Speed Slam, Blaziken's Boulder Bash, Rhyperior's Bumper Burn, Bastodon's Block Barrage, and Bulbasaur's Daring Dash. If you need a reason why I did it like this, long story short, this whole control scheme for all the mini-games across all attractions varied because I was holding a horizontal nunchuck. That brings me to my likes and dislikes of the game. The attractions were a mixed bag, because as much as I liked some of them, they also had their problems. Having all the Pokemon I use either be better or worse at the attractions means I have to pick the guy with the best stats to progress instead of Pikachu or the Pokemon I want to play as in the roster. I have to metagame. Do you know how badly metagaming sucks the fun out of playing a game? Way too much. And what sucks even more is the friends I make don't do much outside of playing in attractions. Unless it's the very few friends tied to the plot or to help out other friends, that's it. They do absolutely nothing else. They should help progress the plot along in some way and not just remain as optional story choices and obligatory 100% material in a game. At that point, they're just fancy set pieces scattered around PokePark. The endgame is awful, though. You want to know why?
There's nothing here!
Oh, wow, that's wonderful. I have wasted all that time completing every minigame, collecting every picture, and inducting every Pokemon into Pikachu's harem, and it's all for nothing. I don't get a special attraction or some sort of minigame, no cool or unique thing to do in the game, or something to commemorate me helping Pikachu around the park. I don't want bragging rights or an in-game trophy. I want a level, a quest line, or a cool thing I can do to show off to my friends. A cool endgame. A good endgame in a video game is having a heavy serving of content after the base game to enjoy, so you'll invest more time playing and enjoying the game even after completing it. This is just main story content I could skip over because it holds no bearing to the plot. What did I find good in PokePark? Well, I will say the best part of PokePark 1 is the battling. Sure, the 1v1 open area fighting Pikachu partakes in isn't the most new or revolutionary mechanic in the world, The progression of time and technology by about a decade and a half has left the system feeling a bit archaic, and there could have been a bit more to the battling, but I still enjoyed it. The gameplay loop for Pikachu also tied nicely into battling, collecting berries and do mini-games for more berries so I can power up Pikachu. More berries means better upgrades, meaning battles become easier, which in turn makes getting berries easier. It was the best part of the game because I could go hog wild without having to constantly make precise or careful movements. The soundtrack was also endearing. Every area that I visited had an enchanting melody that made me feel like I was saving the world. There was always some lighthearted and uplifting melody around the corner. My favorite track is the Beach Zone theme, and that's because every time I visited, that short tune on repeat was always welcoming me to sit down and relax. Least favorite, though, had to be the attraction menu theme. You hear that, a few hundred times and you'll get sick of it. Like, come on, would it have killed the team to add a little flair for each area into the attraction theme? But my final favorite thing in PokePark 1 was inputting the codes to fight Groudon and Darkrai. I did not have the time to befriend them, but man, their battles sure were fun and intense. And I'm gonna put them on screen for a transition into the ending because I don't have much else to say. PokePark Wii Pikachu's Adventure is an okay game. The controls leave much to be desired, seeing as I only had a Wii Remote to work with. But that's okay, because the rest of the game more than made up for it. It was a fun, relaxing, and cute little game to run around in. Sometimes I want a high-stakes, dark and gritty adventure going full speed into the unknown. But today isn't that day. Today, and the time it took me to record all this footage, is downtime with PokePark 1. And that's what we all need sometimes. For some, it's quilting, doing word or number puzzles, watching clouds, or reading outside. For me, it's just this. Just a cozy, adorable little game from Creatures Incorporated where I take the reins of Pikachu running around PokePark to save the day, and having a blast beating each challenge. And while I'm working on other videos, waiting for opportunities of change and enjoying the time I have, I'll always circle back here from time to time to remind myself of how much fun I had playing PokePark Wii Pikachu's Adventure. I'm Mr. J. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go into crunch time to get PokePark 2 Wonders Beyond done, because good videos don't make themselves, and Pikachu's harem doesn't grow by its lonesome.